that time of the year when parents, grandparents, family, and friends gather in college and universities to watch their graduates get their moment on the spotlight as they walk across the stage. Yes, it's graduation time again. This is a time of significant milestone for young adults, marking the end of an important chapter and the beginning of a new one. While this is a significant achievement, graduating can also bring anxiety as graduates ask themselves, what's next? How will I find my first job? Hello everyone and welcome to Our Voices. I am Simban Shekoye and I'm joined by my co-host Oriane Itangshaka.
Hello.
And Anastasi Tudieshe.
Hi.
Today we will discuss the daunting experience of job search for new graduates. We were once there, right?
Yes.
Yes. How was it like, landing on your first job after school? Did you have any difficulty?
So yeah, I didn't graduate because I didn't go to university. So after high school, I was lucky enough that my father found me a dream job for me because it was in a bookshop.
Oh, wow.
And I love reading. And he knew that I was looking for a job and I was always asking him, please help me, please help me.
I'm sure that has something to do with you getting into journalism, that reading and...
My way to journalism starts way before I was 8
Wow.
when I decided I was going to become a journalist. And he was one of their best clients, so it was easy for the shop owner to say, well, okay, if it's you, and if she's your daughter, she probably will be good with books. And that's where I met my husband.
Oh, wow.
Job reference.
Another story.
Yes.
Job reference are always so important.
Right.
Well, for me, the feeling of, the anxiety of finding a job after school wasn't really there. During my graduation at high school, I was just happy, being graduated. I wasn't really thinking about the future. Even after I finished my bachelor's degree at Morgan State University in Baltimore, the same feeling was there. I was just happy to graduate, nothing more. After my master's degree, same thing. I was like, oh, life will figure itself out. But my advice, I think, would be if, you go to school and you graduate, you should really, even if you don't really think too hard about it, we have innate skills. And then we have skills that we want to learn. So I think you should hone both of them. You should
probably communicating those skills
Yes.
and bringing them out is something we'll be discussing in this show.
Right.
On
So-
how to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because you seem to be very good at it because you were not worried.
Right, but I think
helps,
that,
yes.
because I think that skills, we have skills we are born with.
Yeah.
Like communication skills are sometimes something you're born with. So I think in the back of my mind, I feel like life will
You're
figure
not worried.
itself out. I wasn't worried, but I would just really hope that I just wished that I knew that there was something that I can hone, like your natural skills
Yes.
and the skills that you learn from whatever school you went to
Yeah.
or whatever.
What about you?
For me, with my first graduation, which was in Ethiopia, finding that first job was not as difficult. And, maybe because there weren't that many people in journalism field, or maybe because the job market is not as complex as it is now. But after my graduation, my master's graduation here at Georgetown University, it was a hassle. I mean, I started preparing my CV and applying way before graduation, but it took me 2 years to get back to the
Wow.
workforce.
Wow.
Yes, but in both instances, as you both already implied, what helped me was networking and communication. And I always tell people, it's easier to look for people than the actual job.
Yes, I
That's a
agree.
good
And
one.
you know what they say? Your network is your net worth.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And that's what we'll
It's
be
really
getting.
true.
It
We'll
is.
get deeper
Every
into
day.
that.
Yeah.
Well, graduation is a huge day for graduates and their families. But once the party is over, many young people experience panic and depression, especially if they don't have set employment plans. As a continent of the world's largest youth population, Africa also has the world's highest unemployment rate. According to the World Bank, the youth accounts for 60% of the continent's unemployed. It's even tougher for recent graduates as the job market is extremely competitive and entry-level positions sometimes require years of experience. Not only that, a recent survey by Intelligent.com, an online magazine focused on student lives, shows that 40% of business leaders believe new college graduates and are unprepared for the workforce, citing mainly their work ethic and communication skills. On this week's edition of Our Voices, we will explore how new graduates can get ready for the workforce and discuss the need for soft skills to help boost their chances of employment.
Well, let's first go to Mozambique and hear the experience of Amanda. Amanda is a 25-year-old college graduate with a bachelor's degree in mathematics, but the only job she could get was working at a store.
My name is Amanda. I'm 25 years old, and I'm a digital content creator and store manager. I hold a bachelor's degree in mathematics, yet I'm struggling to secure a job that aligns with my training. Job openings are posted in WhatsApp groups and on social media every day, and I have sent several applications. I have only received one callback, but unfortunately, that opportunity did not work out. Lately, young people join companies as interns in the hope of getting a job in the same company, and sometimes the internship ends and you leave without a job.
Thank you, Amanda, for sharing your experience. But Amanda is not alone. Her story is similar to that of many young African graduates who end up staying home jobless or struggling to make ends meet. Experts say there are many reasons to why new graduates are not immediately landing on their first job. To discuss these reasons, we have invited Rose Dodd, Executive Director of the Education Collaborative at Ashesi University in Ghana. Ms. Dodd, it's a great pleasure to have you on Our Voices.
It's a really good pleasure to be here.
Yeah, definitely. So it's the challenge of not getting a job after graduation. Is this something new for the new generation we refer to as Gen Z, or is the struggle has always been there?
I think it's a challenge that has always been there. What has made it worse or exacerbated it is the fact that the youthful population on the continent is increasing, and it's increasing at an exponential level. And also the job market is changing rapidly, right? With the advancements of technology, the industry is looking for new skills that our traditional higher education institutions up to now have not been capacitated to train students to have those skills. So the challenge has gotten, you could say, worse over the last few years.
So there's also another question. Why do you think is it incredibly, increasingly harder for recent graduates to find an employment? What are they missing?
I think it's multiple things. Some of what we are learning in our work. There's one is the mismatch of what I studied and what my market needs, right? So there is the market in which I live. So I live in Ghana. Maybe I studied a program that is not very easy to get a job in Ghana. It may be possible to get a job in a different country in Africa, but mobility of labor is not, it's not as simple as, just packing your bags and going to another job in a different country, right? So that's one of it. Another one is what you mentioned in the beginning, soft skills, transferable skills. Those skills that allow you to move between or move, within a certain industry, regardless of the specific course you studied. So say you studied engineering, meaning that you should have learned, things around thinking logically, learn math, learn physics, etc. You should be able to technically transfer some of these softer skills, right? On how to communicate, work in teams, for example, use technology to a job that may not necessarily be, say, electrical or electronic engineering, but perhaps, managing a team as a project manager, right? A team that maybe is an engineering team or a technical team, right?
Okay, so we took good note, Ms. Dodd, mobility, soft skills. And before we continue, please stay with us. Before we continue our discussion, let's also hear from another recent graduate from Zambia who's also struggling to find a job. Take a listen to recent grad Chansa Memory Kaluba.
My first qualification from the University of Zambia was a Bachelor of Arts with Education. I majored in English with curriculum studies. The challenge that I began to face after the excitement of graduating from the University of Zambia with great grades, I say excellent grades, was first of all that there was no room for me in the place that I thought I would firstly be working. That's the education sector. That's where I was targeting. That's where I was sending all my application letters. Even when the government had opened up to employ a bit more teachers, I applied, and we all know the strategy, applying the rural areas so that you get picked, but it didn't happen. So the disappointment, firstly, that even the place of work that you were being prepared for when you were in university may not actually have room for you to work is quite the shock.
Yeah, it's really difficult. But Ms. Dodd, I have a question regarding the mindset of the graduates and the mindset of the employers. Some graduates, some Gen Z graduates feel that the employers are not understanding their skills and their mindset. And maybe that gives a question to the education system not matching or, you know, really being up to par with the market. Is that true? Are Gen Z and the employers not really matching in terms of understanding each other?
I would say yes and no. And you're right about the education system, right? Because to date or in the past, it's been more like the universities or the schools are the ones preparing the graduates, and then the workplace or the industry are the ones receiving the graduates. That doesn't quite work anymore, right? The industry and the educational institutions need to work together and be in sync on how to get these graduates ready to transition from learning to work to learning to work, right? It's a space now where continuous learning and upskilling is very critical. So that break or that disconnect that has existed till now needs to be reconnected, and that's where I think we see that mismatch or that perceived mismatch of what the Gen Z and the work world. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Mrs. Rose Dodd, the Executive Director, for your insight on this.
I have one more question, though. Like, what would be your tip, Ms. Dodd, for education centers, schools? How should they prepare these new graduates for this tough job market?
Well, I would say three things. One is, really putting in some resources to determine how to connect better to the job market, right? Bringing in the industry, bringing persons that, are working in the jobs the students are looking forward to working into the classroom to influence what the curriculum looks like, for example, right? That's one. Two is figuring out a way to incorporate these transferable skills across the time that the student is on campus. So not just, at their final year when they're trying to go out, but from year one, how are they, preparing, how are they learning to present? How are they learning to communicate? How are they learning to write? How are they learning to work in teams? Building that skill throughout the academic journey is very helpful. And then finally, teaching young persons how to look for a job and how to match their skills and communicate what they know to the work market, right, is very important.
Wow, thank you so much. We appreciate you, Ms. Dodd. She is the Executive Director of the Education Collaborative at Ashesi University, for joining us. Thank you so much. Well, it is now time for a quick break. When we come back, we will meet Grace Nzula, founder of Atarah Solutions, to discuss how to develop soft communication skills to boost chances of getting a job. We also love to hear about your experiences, how easy and how difficult it is to find a job after school on our social media platforms. We are on Facebook, Instagram, X, formerly known as Twitter. Our handle is VOA Africa. Use the hashtag VOA Our Voices. We'll be right back.
In times of change, when the world seems uncertain and what we hear doesn't reflect what we see, we seek the truth. When we are told only part of the story, we lose trust. In moments of crisis, our dreams, hopes, and wishes for a better tomorrow depends on a free press. At Voice of America, we bring you the stories that people take risks to see. We connect the world and unite it with truth. At Voice of America, we show you the whole picture.
Welcome back. You are watching Our Voices, and today we are discussing why recent graduates are struggling to get hired and expert tips on how to enter the workforce. Joining us on Skype from Nairobi, Kenya is Grace Nzula, founder of Atarah Solutions. This is a consultancy firm that trains individuals and organizations on how to get the best out of their human capital. Thank you so much, Grace, for joining us.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, definitely. So a new study shows that business leaders or employers say that recent graduates lack ethic and communication skills. So let's first break it down. What are those skills and why are they important?
Right. I like using the phrase, what got you here will not get you there, literally, because the communication skills is what you need to actually get to interact with everyone. It enhances collaboration, it enhances teamwork, it also enhances, it helps you achieve your goals. And then it also clarifies the strategy for the organization. So if you're not able to communicate clearly, even when you're dealing with people, it becomes harder. You get to be misunderstood, you get to be, your communication gets to be misinterpreted. Now, you're not able to achieve your goals. You're not able to work together in terms of a team. You're not able to move from A to B. So in terms of communication, it's one of the skills that everyone actually needs. I tend to believe that 90% of the world's problems are based on communication. So in the workplace, it's one of those skills that people are looking. Are you able to communicate? Are you able to express yourself? Are you able to pass instructions? Are you able to even show understanding whenever something is communicated to you? So communication is not only a must-have. No, it's not a need to have. It's a must-have of a skill when it comes to the workplace.
Yes, I agree with you. I was watching this past weekend a Nigerian movie where a young man was going in for an interview and he would just get so nervous and he would cry. So when we talk about communication skills that are very important, who's to blame for those skills not being had? Like, is it the education system? Is it the family system? So let's use the example of communication. Whose fault is it?
I think it starts right from the beginning, from the family setup to the environment that you're raised in. I mean, in Africa, you expressing yourself is something to be disrespectful. Every time you want to question an authority,
Yes.
you're termed as...
Respect your elders.
You know, thank you. So, and imagine since you were born, you were supposed to respect your parents. You go to school, primary school. Your head teacher is like a god.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
Then you go to the workplace, and you're expected to now be able to express yourself. And all this, the culture has really affected us in terms of honing our communication skills.
Grace, I can only imagine the relief of those listening to us and who are now looking for a job, because you are speaking of goals, really.
Yes, it's not their fault.
Yes, it's not their fault, and everybody is relieved, and even us around the table, actually. Let's now hear from upcoming graduates in Mombasa, Kenya, as they share their hopes to find a job after graduation and how they are preparing for it. Our reporter Collins Adede talked to Winnie Ahaya, an upcoming design engineer, Meryl Atieno, a mass communication student, and Aziza Pervez, student in our Your Voices segment. Take a listen.
My job prospect is that I'm sure that I'll get a job because I'm done with my college. I did welding engineering, so I'm very positive that there are a lot of opportunities out there, and I'll be able to get a job.
I'm so hopeful. Having been in university for 4 years and being a graduate of mass communication, I've learned a lot and I also have skills that I'm hopeful I'll get a job in a very short time.
I have skills, I have the capability, and according to what I want to do, I think I pass all the qualifications, but I wouldn't say there are enough jobs yet, or better yet, there are jobs, but you need to find a way to pave in for the jobs.
Most importantly, your skill matters a lot for you to secure a job. Aside from you having the necessary skills, I feel like also knowing people. The connection that you created while you were in school, and I think out here is the best time to use the connections you had.
It's 50-50. Because in some places, yes, it applies. You have to have a good father so that you get what you want. And in some places, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter who you know, but it's you. It's how you're going to speak. It's how you're going to carry yourself in that office.
I would say skills, but not skills per se, because lately skills don't really matter. It's all about the connection you make. I would differ because I'd say the connection you make when you are in school is different from the connection you make outside here. Because outside here, it's all about the people you know who know people they know that can give you the job.
It depends with the kind of job you are looking for, the kind of field that you're going into. Because for some jobs, another qualification, apart from the papers, apart from your confidence or that, others look for good looks, others look for height, others look for physical appearance or such. So it depends with where you are going to and what your field.
Oh, thank you so much for those beautiful images. Don't you want to go to Mombasa, Kenya right now, guys?
Yeah, definitely.
Grace Nzula, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Yes, great. So, as you heard from the upcoming graduates in Kenya, students in colleges and university still aspire to get that employment thing right after graduation. So, what is your advice to them?
I think one thing that they need to practice is the art of patience. I think a lot of graduates, and especially in Africa, are lacking patience. They want to make money very fast. So I ask of them to be resilient, to practice just being patient. Something will give. The next thing is communication skills, or rather the soft skills, emotional intelligence, communication skills. Just practicing some of these things, even if you're going to. I mean, we're in Africa. We have all these small organizations, the church, the mosque. Something people are coming together. Go start speaking. Take on leadership. Take on volunteer opportunities. And this is not news because even by the time we were looking for jobs, it's not like we had jobs. I interned as a journalist somewhere, and somebody had been there for a whole year, and they were just volunteering and getting internship. I mean, it's a process. It's a process. Yeah. And it's more progress. So let's celebrate progress. Every time you clean up, please, let's stop being lazy. I mean,
so
yes.
maybe sticking to that communication skill, would you say that this fast-paced, digital environment has affected the communication skill of this Gen Z generation? And if so, how can they improve their communication skill in this digital era?
Communication in the workplace is different from social communication, and that's the one thing that they need to separate. Somebody asked me the other day whether they can reply an email with an emoji. And I was like, it's an official email. Why would you use an emoji? So it's about drawing the boundary between social interactions and official interactions or workplace interactions. So if it's an official communication, there's some boundaries, there's some rules around it. And that is the part where the young people need to start practicing. What is business language? How do you speak business language? How do you interact in the business world, as opposed to the social aspects of it? Social comes. I mean, nowadays we are doing integration. So the social aspect of it will come. But there are things that need boundaries and clarity. in terms of this is business language and this is social language.
Speaking of social environments, and we're looking at social media nowadays. It's, you know, everybody has a page somewhere, right? Do you think that employers looking at social media is also affecting young people not getting jobs? Because, you know, people have different lives. On social media, they have a different life from their professional life. What do you think about social media and getting jobs?
Yes and no. There's some recruiters who will definitely go on social media and judge a character. It depends on what you're posting. Of course, it has an effect. If you have posted something negative about my company when you're in campus, personally, I would be curious and call you in because I want to understand how can we improve. But that's me. There are people who will take offense and lock you out because you posted something on social media. Of course, to what extreme is this the post looking like, you know? So for me, I think I would want to be curious to know what exactly is the issue and how can we do better, because that's feedback for an institution. But others will take it personally, and that's why I keep telling young people, lean onto the conservative every time you think these things are happening, you know? Choose a media that I will not go finding you when I'm trying to answer about what you do. And you see, if you're a journalist, somebody will want to see what you post online. If you're an HR, for example, if I am there on top of tables and dancing with my bottle and I'm looking for an HR job, I'll definitely get locked out.
Yeah, I mean, that is very important, and I hope new graduates are taking notes and are going to apply it on their. But thank you so much, Grace, for joining us and for sharing your expertise.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. So this is where we end our show, and we thank our guests, Rose Dodd, Executive Director at the Education Collaborative at Ashesi University in Ghana, and also Grace Nzula, founder of Atarah Solutions, for joining us. To all students around the world graduating this year, congratulations on your milestone accomplishments, and we here at Our Voice wish you good luck on your next steps.
Yes.
Be sure to watch our voices on the VOA website at voaafrica.com and on our YouTube channel, where you can catch up with the latest episodes and the world's top news.